everyone, and welcome to this webinar where we are going to talk about some real-world use cases of AI that will help you launch your agency into the next orbit. There is a lot of information available. I'm sure you're getting bombarded by information about AI from all directions, but we are doing this to talk about some practical use cases that we have seen get deployed with great effect with our customers as well as internally here at Recruiter Flow. Okay, you should be able to see my screen. Let me just pull it on the slideshow. So our topic today is using AI and data to take your agency into the next orbit and how you can get started with operationalizing AI and getting real benefit out of it to pay, right? Into that, I want to talk a little bit about why asking yourself, right? Like, are you really AI ready, right? Like, I'm sure you are using ChatGPT, Gemini, right? Everybody has a choice LLM that they go to, and I'm sure that you are using that in your day-to-day, in your work, as well as outside of work, right? So I'm sure you are doing that. But is that enough, right? And answer to that, at least in our opinion, is that it's not, right? Like it's table stakes now. If you want to have a competitive advantage, you need to do some advanced stuff with it. And for that, AI needs two things to work really, really well for you. One is a lot of data, and second, that data needs to be accurate, right? So there is an old adage that says garbage in, garbage out. So if the data that you're feeding to AI, the context that you're feeding to AI, if it's not accurate, if it's not reliable, then no matter how good the AI engine is, it's not going to give you good answers, right? So also for it to give you good answers, it needs to process a lot of data. So you need to make sure that you are doing these two things, and we will talk about some of these. This really comes into play. So while we are on the topic of data, and it's particularly relevant today because a lot of our customers are reporting that LinkedIn has significantly increased their pricing. It has put significant restrictions on in-mails, and in-mail pricing has also increased quite a bit, right? Now, we looked at across our customer base, we looked at, hey, you know what, where are your placements coming from? And we saw that 63% of all placements are candidates that were already in your database, right? So you have them in your database, you have probably spoken to them in the past, you have an existing relationship, but invariably, in almost all the cases, whenever you have a new job, right, the first place that you go to is LinkedIn, Indeed, wherever your candidates live, right? So instead of searching your own database, your own IP, you are going to an external place, being dependent on a third party to find candidates that you already have in your database, to find people that you already have a relationship with, right? So, and the reason for that is that you and your recruiters don't trust the data that's already there in your system. And it's time to start trusting your data again, and that's what AI really helps you do. A quick poll, right? Like right now, do you trust the data that's in your CRM to be accurate, and do you find it to be reliable, right? Like, do you the question is, right, like whenever you have a new job, do you start searching in your database, or do you start searching from scratch on LinkedIn or Indeed? We will give it a couple of minutes for answers to roll in. Seems like searching within the database is winning by a handsome margin, which is fantastic. So I think the answers are in, right? So we have roughly one-third, about 66% of the people saying that they will search first within the database, and one-third of the people saying that they will search from scratch outside of the database, right? So people who are already searching within the database, fantastic. That's what you want, right? Like you want to build IP in your own database, right? Like that's what gives value to your business. Now, the problem with a lot of data in the CRM is that it does not really have context, right? So And what do I mean by context? Imagine a typical day in a recruiter's life, right? Like, so you are speaking with you are dedicating some time to sourcing and identifying candidates. You are doing maybe 4 or 5 meetings with candidates and clients every day, right? Like, so these can be interview meetings, BD meetings, what have you, right? Like, so a lot of information, a lot of data gets generated in those conversations. And after that, right, like you are writing follow-up emails, sending out presentations and things like that, right? Like, so again, a lot of data gets generated over here. The problem is that traditionally, because recruiting is a very people-oriented business, a lot of the information, a lot of the institutional knowledge is in the conversations that you are having with your candidates and with your clients. However, the problem is that this data is probably lost forever, because if you have a 30-minute conversation with a candidate, you're probably going to write 3 or 4 lines of the cliff notes of the conversation in your CRM and maybe update a few fields in the CRM, and the rest of the data is lost forever. And because entering data into the CRM, the admin work does not help recruiters in their day-to-day, right? Like, they tend not to do it very well. And that is the reason that a lot of information is lost, and a lot of information, even if it is stored without context, it is stored without structure. And that can fundamentally change with AI, right? Like, so let's talk about how you can do that. I see in this meeting, there are a couple of AI note takers that have joined this meeting. So that's fantastic. If you are using one of those, the biggest source of data in your recruiting business is the conversations that you are having. And that 30-minute, that 40-minute conversations are lost forever. And you will probably write some cliff notes after the conversation is done. AI note takers, first of all, help you store this data, right? Like we said at the very beginning, AI needs a lot of data to work well. So you need to store all of the data in the CRM. So AI note taker helps you do that. AI note taker also can help you bring context to that data and to bring structure to that data, right? Like, so let's take an example, right? Like, so you speak to a candidate, you talk to them about what sports do they follow, you talk to them about kids, you talk to them about what their career aspirations are, what kind of experience do they have, what different functions or industries that they have experience in, what's their compensation expectation, right? Like, what's the cultural expectation, what kind of manager do they want to work for, right? Like, so all of this really critical information is generally lost, or even if it's not lost, it stays unstructured in the form of just an ordinary note. Now, that is where AI can bring a lot of context and structure a lot of this data. Is also very good at coaching you and your recruiters in getting better, right? Like, so we are internally using our own note taker, and that note taker helps our team get better, right? Like, so whenever our prospects raise an objection, there is a way in the note taker where those objections and how well did you handle those objections, and AI rates you on that. It's directionally accurate, right? Like, so if you look at an individual call, AI, you might think that, okay, you did a really, really good job at handling the objection, but AI probably would not agree. But if you look at what really works very well is that if you look at over a long enough time frame, it gives you the trend really, really well, right? Like, so when you average out, it's fairly accurate. It might not be accurate on a particular instance. That's just the limitation of technology today. So one thing that you should, if you're not doing this today, you should definitely start using a note taker to capture all those conversations that you are having, and make sure that those conversation transcripts are stored in your CRM for you to search later, for you to prompt later, right? So you can do that. I'm going to show how we handle these particular use cases in recruiter flow. The second reason that the data is not very reliable in your CRM is that the data gets old, right? Like, you added somebody to the CRM 3 years back. That person has probably changed jobs. They moved to a new company. They probably got got a promotion, they probably moved to a new city, but the data in your CRM does not reflect that, right? Like, so the data is still old. So when you search that, when AI gives you recommendation, it's based on this old inaccurate data, right? Like, so you want to make sure that the data in your CRM stays up to date. You want to make sure that if all the unstructured data that's in your conversations, that's in your emails, gets automatically structured in the CRM. The issue is that people are really, really bad at entering data in the CRM, right? Including me, right? Have not been very disciplined when it comes to entering all the data that needs to be entered in the CRM. And what you want to do is take the human out of it, right? Like, so you want to automate that process so that your people can focus on, the high value things like having conversations, making decisions, building relationships, right? So that's what they should be focused on instead of, putting data in the CRM. So we have a CRM up. So you should make sure that, you should make sure that you're not just capturing all of this data, but you're also contextualizing and structuring all this data in the CRM. So just to give you a simple example, you go on a call with a candidate, the candidate tells you their compensation expectation and things like that. Now, once the call is done, your CRM should get automatically updated with all the compensation information that you gathered from the candidate, maybe relocation information, the kind of industries that they have worked with, right? Like, so all of this information should be automatically captured. If you rely on your people to diligently put that data in the CRM, you are in for a rude shock. So you should use AI and data enrichment to make sure that your data is accurate and your data is fresh. What we have seen is that with all of this, people have reduced their time to fill quite significantly with about 30%. And the reason is that because you have more trust in your data, because the data, so we have 2/3 of the people who start the search in their own CRM. Now, if the data is more accurate, if data is more fresh, your searches will be more accurate. You will see the right candidates when you're searching your own database, and you will be, instead of, trying to establish a completely new relationship to start a new conversation, you are starting with people that you already know, people that you already probably vetted in the past. You know that they are going to be a great fit. So your turnaround time to get to the first submittal reduces quite significantly. And in turn, your time to fill also reduces quite significantly. We have in the past done research on how your time to fill affects your client retention rate. After in the follow-up email, we'll be sure that we send you the research that we have done. But reducing your time to fill by about 20% helps you increase your retention rate by more than 30%, right? Like, so it really, your speed, your velocity at which you're delivering results for your candidates and for your clients determines the health of your business, how well you are able to retain your clients. I'm just going to very quickly show how some of these things happen in the recruiter flow. Let me just get out of this. And first, let me show the job change alerts. So in the recruiter flow, we are constantly refreshing your own data. So for example, over here, we have Michael Bates, who has moved from MJB recruitment to Napoleon Green, or Melika, who has changed her job title from founder to founder and director. So you can, as people move jobs, as they get promoted, we send you alerts. This is a great way for you to start new business development conversations, right? Like, so whenever people get promoted, your past placement got promoted and she is now a hiring manager. Great, right? Like, this is probably a good time for you to reach out to them and see if you can help them build a rockstar team. Or your past client has moved to a new company, you helped them in the past to build their team. You can do the same with them at their new company, right? Like, so again, it helps you start more business development conversation, and more strategically, it helps you make sure that the data in your CRM is always up to date. It's always that your recruiters trust the data in the CRM. So that's number one. The number two, let me give you a quick glimpse of how the data structuring works, right? Like, so here we have, my co-founder's profile. It says that, right, like, he's co-founder and CTO at the D. Shaw Group. It says the profile update is available. It says that it has this his college thing. It's updating that okay, this is what he did in his college. So we have that. It completes the data in the CRM. Also, let's assume that this is something that they say in the interview, right? Like, hey, I'm proficient in Mandarin, French, and Romanian. I know Java, Python, and Perl. 2nd April 1992 is my birth date. And my current comp is $1 million. And to even consider making a move, I want a 22% jump. Again, this is something that they say during the call. Now I'm going to force the AI to automatically update this candidate profile. So we are just going to use this agent called field updates agent. I'm just going to click on that. It's going to take a minute or two to go through everything, and it's automatically filling out all of these fields for me. Right? Like I'm just going to click on accept field updates, and here we have that, hey, the seniority band is founder, the functional expertise is engineering, they know Mandarin, French, and Romanian languages. Current comp is $1 million, expected comp is a 22% jump, which is a $1.22 million. So what we've just seen is that all that unstructured data that was there in the conversation, that was probably there in the note that the recruiter wrote, all of that data automatically gets structured in the right fields, right? So you're taking the human error part out of data entry. And again, right, like who wakes up every day thinking, being excited about doing data entry into their CI. So you're taking a lot of this admin away from your recruiters. Now, the second thing is about context, right? So try this with ChatGPT, with Gemini, whichever LLM that you like to use, right? So try to ask them to, hey, I'm trying to pitch a client. Help me write a pitch email to a particular client, right? Like so. Well, it's going to do a reasonably okay job. Now, do another thing, right? Like create a fictional call transcript that if you already have a call transcript with a client, right? Like great, use that, download it into PDF, feed it to ChatGPT, give it more context, right? Like, hey, we met this client 6 months back. They're a football fan. We spoke about their favorite football club, and this is what they do in their day-to-day work, right? Like, so give AI a lot of information, and based on that, ask it to write a pitch email, and you will see a massive difference in the quality of output that AI can generate for you. And the reason, it's not that you're using a better engine, you're using the same engine, you are just feeding it more information, you're feeding it more context. And here is how you can use it in the CRM, right? Like, so I have a lot of data about this candidate in my CRM. I'm just going to ask it a question, right? Like I'm just going to ask, what's his birthday? Let me ask a more difficult question, right? Like I think there is a call transcript where he talks about, I think at some point of time, he talks about his team structure, right? Like, so I'm just going to ask how many people does he manage, right? Like, so when we are seeing our users asking really amazing questions, right? Like we have seen people ask, what does their team structure look like? Because that's something that you discussed in the past. We've seen people ask about their children, about their sports interest. You have some vague recollection that, hey, we did speak about some sport or a common interest back in one of the conversations, maybe a year back. I just need to find that information. I'm just going to ask AI now. I have a call. Help me prepare for a call with Naresh and give me a few icebreakers. So again, because it has information from all your calls, all your emails, all your LinkedIn conversation, it has all of this context also, right? Like he was a candidate for director of recruiting. He was a candidate for DevOps engineer, right? Like it's going to give you some icebreaker points for you to have a much more informed conversation. I'm going to ask, I need to evaluate him for a CTO role. Help me craft a few questions based on his background, right? So again, because AI has all of this context, it's going to go through all of that and going to give you better and better answers. It's again, for AI to work for you, you need to give it a lot of context. You need to give it a lot of accurate data. So this is what we meant when I said, right, like, hey, you need accurate data and you need a lot of data for AI to work really, really well for you. We'll go back to the presentation. Let me just again put this in a slideshow. So some of the things that you can get started with is first is automatic logging of information into your CRM, right? Like take the admin out of your recruiter's day to day, right? Like be very, very ruthless about it, because that's the key to helping your recruiters increase their productivity, helping move your revenue per recruiter metric. Second, make sure that data that you have in your CRM is accurate as and is as expansive as possible, right? Like you capture as much data as possible and that data stays accurate, that data stays fresh, and use all of that to have better conversations, to make better decisions. So this is something that you can do with AI. This is related to your CRM. So let's talk about some of the things that you can do outside of the CRM and in ChatGPT and Gemini. Personally, I have found Gemini to be a little bit better than ChatGPT when it comes to doing some specific research tasks. So, for example, you are working for you need to find a candidate that has experience selling radiology equipment in Midwest America, right? Again, a very, it's probably not an easy thing to figure out, right? Like, so you can probably just go and ask Gemini or ChatGPT, hey, give me a list of all the companies that sell radiology equipment or medical devices in Midwest America, right? So it's going to go through information that's available on the internet and is going to give you a very nice list. You can say, just export this list into a CSV, and it's going to give you a CSV of all the target companies where that should be your market map, right? Like, so you can absolutely do that. Another very interesting use case that I heard from one of the recruiters was that they use this to analyze competition. So your competitors are probably putting job adverts on their website, maybe on their LinkedIn pages. You can take that job description, feed it to ChatGPT and ask it, what are some of the probable companies that are hiring for this role? So what it's going to do is going to analyze job descriptions of all the other jobs with the same job title or a similar job title that are published on Google, on Indeed, on all different sources, on of course LinkedIn as well. And it's going to say, okay, these are the different companies that are hiring, let's say, a senior software engineer. And based on the job description that you fed into ChatGPT or into Gemini, these are the companies that are probably hiring for a position like this. So you have some idea of who the potential clients are or that your competition is working with. Again, we've tried this ourselves with reasonable success, but it saves you hours and hours of manual research, and it just helps you be much more targeted in your approach. So again, AI is very good at ingesting a large amount of data, but you have to again give it context. You have to ask the right questions and just use it as your research analyst. AI. And this is the most common use case, right? Like AI is your expert copywriter, but here are some of the more advanced things that you can do. So feed job descriptions, feed a resume of the candidate, maybe your interview notes as well, and then ask AI to write a submission email to you, right? Like again, it'll do a fantastic job. If you do candidate marketing, right, like where you are speculatively sending out candidates to potential hiring managers, you can add a list of hiring managers that you are pitching a particular candidate to, the name of the hiring manager, their job title, and the company that they work for, and ask AI that, hey, you know what? Here is a list of 10 hiring managers that I need to pitch this candidate to. Write me, a custom email. So the AI is going to do research about the person. AI is going to do research about the company. If it's a public company with a lot of public data available, it's going to do a fabulous job of writing very targeted pitches for the candidate that you are sending out to. Again, your job is to make sure that you are picking the right 10 hiring managers and the right candidate to pitch to those hiring managers, right? Like, so that's where your expertise, your intuition, or years and years of knowledge and pattern matching comes into picture. So that's something that's very, very human. I can't really do that very well, but it helps you access all of this information, access all of this data, and create very, very polished outputs. We internally at Recruiterflow use Gamma.app and presentation.ai to build a lot of presentations, internal as well as presentations for our customers. There's a whole bunch of different apps that are available that can help you create incredible presentations without any design inputs. You just have to, edit it at the end. You can feed, what kind of tone do you want, what's the kind of brand guidelines that you have, and it will make it exactly adhering to those brand guidelines to the tone that you want in the presentation. Again, fabulous for you to, if you're doing executive search, right, like you need to give your search summary reports. Again, AI is very good at building out those presentations that you can present to your clients. AI is also very good at we spoke a little bit about market mapping, but it's also very good at talent mapping. So it has data, a lot of data. So if you can ask, hey, I'm looking for a DevOps engineer for Amazon's Austin office. Can you look at other DevOps engineers who work with Amazon in the Austin office and see what are the other companies that they have worked for in the past, or what are the universities that they've studied in the past, right? Like, so it's again going to go through all of that data. Is going to give you, hey, you know what? A lot of people end up joining Amazon from Microsoft, right? Like, so probably Microsoft is a good place for you to start sourcing for this role, right? Like, so you can ask it very specific questions and it gives you a fairly good answer. For something like this specifically, we've internally found Perplexity to be the best engine to do something like this. But again, almost everything that we try is for technology as a space. So you need to probably try different engines and see which engine has better data, better model to synthesize data for your industry and the way that you want it, right? Like, so you can do that as well. Again, saves you hours and hours of research time and can act as, a junior researcher for you. AI is also very good at structure your thinking. And this is, again, we've seen extensively being used in executive search, where they are, AI creates, based on this job brief and the job description, it creates very good scorecards and competency frameworks. Again, it really helps you present your value to your clients in a much better way, right? You can create competency frameworks, you can create scorecards, make it a part of your your offering to the client. And this does not really take a lot of effort from you, right? Like, all you have to do is put the right prompts. All that knowledge about your industry, about your space is already in your it's already in your head, right? Like, you just need to put it, give all that information to it'll take some time, right? Like, you'll have to probably build a custom GPT, or if you use Claude, I think they call them artifacts. So you have to build some of those. It probably takes a little bit of time investment for you to do this upfront, but after that, right, like, again, you can create these competency frameworks for every job that you are working on with a client, make it a part of your value proposition that, hey, you know what, we are building these scorecards for you, for these competency frameworks for you. And every time we submit a candidate, we will fill in this scorecard and competency framework for every candidate that we submit to you, so that you have an understanding of how we are evaluating the candidates for you. It really helps you elevate the relationship that you have and really establish yourself as an expert in your client's eyes, and without a lot of additional work, right? Like, so it's just AI is going to, again, look at your call transcript, is going to fill this up for you. You edit this and just export this into a PDF. We have found internally at Recruiterflow, we have found Claude to be the best engine to be doing something like this. And when you are writing those submission emails and things like that, again, you found basically when you are writing communication, we have found ChatGPT to be the best engine to write emails, to create presentation outlines and things. Again, you can export a lot of data from your CRM and ask questions in. So let's say you are doing a salary survey, right? Like, so you've done the part where you have collected a lot of data from your audience. Now you need to make a presentation, right? Like, so AI again helps you make very, very good presentation and can help you surface data and anomalies in the data that can be very, very insightful, right? Like, so it can help you create means, medians. It can help you. So for example, right, like there is a spectrum, right? Like as people's experience increases, their compensation increases, right? So you can say, hey, you know what, the median compensation for candidates with 0 to 3 years of experience is, let's say, $100,000. For 3 to 6 years is $150,000, and for 6 to 10 years it's $180,000. So that's great. That's fantastic when it comes to averages, but averages don't necessarily always tell you the story. AI can analyze all of this data and say, although the averages are moving at this rate, the top 10 percentile in each segment, right? Like there is a much higher variation, right? Like, so top 10 percentile in 0 to 3 years probably make 130,000, but in 3 to 6, they probably make 250,000, right? Like, so the top 10 percentile progress very, very fast when it comes to their compensation. So when your client tells you, hey, you know what, I only want the top 10% of the candidates, and the budget that they have for that role does not match, you can show them this data. And you don't have to be an Excel wizard to do any of this, right? Like all you need to do is just feed that Excel into ChatGPT, to Plot, whatever, and just ask it all of these questions, and it's going to analyze this data for you and make it super presentable. It can turn them into client presentations as well. We've seen a lot of our customers make brilliant business cases, especially on the retainer side, right? Like when you want to, when retainers, you have 3 or 4 calls before you make a pitch or a proposal to the client, and it remembers everything that you've discussed over 3-4 hours of conversations, structures all of that, and makes very good business case for you. Again, things that really elevate the way that you use your LLM models. We are going to, in this last slide, we are going to talk about some of what's the right way to operationalize AI adoption, right? Like, so we've seen, and we've been guilty of this ourselves at Recruiterflow, right? Like, so the idea is that you do the groundwork before you take off the ground, right? Like make sure that you have buy-in from the team. You have very clear-cut idea of what is it that you want to achieve. Don't bite off more than what you can chew, right? Like, so take 1 or 2 high impact use cases, try and build a practice, try and make sure that this is, you actively encourage your team to use these things and showcase some of the results to everybody in the team to, see that, hey, you know what, Jane Doe did this amazing thing with AI. Kudos to Jane Doe, and you have a rewards and recognition tied to your AI adoption plan. And make sure that you don't take on way too many projects at a time, right? Like, technology is super exciting, but change is hard to come by. People have been working a certain way for a really, really long time. It takes time for you and your team to change that muscle memory. Be very cognizant of that change management that you will have to do, and make sure that you take small incremental approach to the way that you are doing AI adoption. I will leave you with this, that if you are consistent in improving the way that you are using AI for your business, I have seen people regularly overestimate what they can do in next 6 months and underestimate what they can do in next 3 years. So it's about being diligent, being persistent, and being very, very methodical about how you are going to operationalize AI and have team-wide adoption of the technology, of the changes that you are trying to make. That's it for our presentation. A lot of these things that we discussed today are there as agents in Recruiterflow. Some of them are not. Some of them are upcoming. So these are just some of the things that we do in Recruiterflow as part of our AI offering. If you're interested in learning more about it, you can go to our website and schedule a conversation with somebody in the team. But thank you so much for your time and patience.